Boy, my legs feel pretty good. Maybe it's because it's getting cooler. Anyway, I got a new subscriber. And I don't know why. I don't know why people... Yes, I'm complaining. I was like, people are watching my videos. I don't know why. They're dull. They got me going off on my rants, which aren't exactly politically correct. There's noise, there's bad video quality. I mean, these videos suck. People are still watching them. It's incredible. Anyway, I'd say thank you for subscribing, but all I really say is welcome. Enjoy or get angry at the rants of a crazy man. I'm pretty much apathetic at this point. Alright, baby. Let's see how these legs feel about a little running. The only thing I can think is they're watching my earlier stuff. They're watching my earlier stuff, and I guess they kind of dug my earlier stuff. Plus, I don't even know why they subscribe. I'm thinking it's got to be the driving videos. Peace and quiet do not exist in this neighborhood. Anyway, my earlier driving videos had video game music while I was driving, and I just kept getting copyright notices. So I dropped the audio. Anyway, I'm sure I'll lose subscribers eventually. is there every time I look, something's changing these days. Getting a severe case of FOMO. Suddenly I got short people got no reason to live. Stuck in my head. Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason. Short people got little hands, little mouths, little lies. Don't want to go. Woo! no, just realized that I won't be seeing any Ohio State football this year. Buckeyes aren't going to be able to play their six cupcake teams, and then everyone else in the Big Ten that doesn't matter, and they get overrated and beat at the end of the year. Sometimes they sneak into the college playoff football or college football playoff and shock some people. But for the most part, incoming enemy. Buddy. Hmm? Oh, they're just curious. Ooh, a Portuguese water dog.
They're friendly.
Yeah, and hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
Except I've been bitten by that species before.
Yeah. Terriers.
Yep. Terriers. Is that what that is? All I know is them little lap dogs, man. Oh, that's weird, man. No, I didn't think there were still any Obama supporters left around. You know, it's just like... That was a lifetime ago. You gotta wonder if the Republicans hadn't put in term limits back in the 50s, how many terms some of these presidents would have got. Was George Clinton, or excuse George Clinton, yeah, does Bill Clinton lose to George Bush in 2000? If he was still running? It's an interesting question. That's what Watchmen was all about. It was like Clinton or Nixon was into like his 5th term as president because of Dr. Manhattan. LBJ still doesn't run at 68. Watergate still happens, right? Yeah, Watergate still happens. Or Eisenhower wasn't going to run for a third term. He died shortly thereafter. It does make you wonder, though. Watergate probably still happens. Jimmy Carter's still a one-term president. Reagan might be president up until 91, and then because of the demands of the job might have died in office. So Bush would have been president. HW would have been president. And then yeah, you got to think that Bill Clinton gets his 2. And the third one would come up there. I just don't know, because this is after the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. I think he would have got a 3rd term. Because the thing that happened was they did that whole probe back in the 90s about him having the extramarital affair kind of thing. They said, wait a minute, and I remember my friend was talking about it. They said, wait a minute, we had a presidential, the Republicans said, we had a presidential scandal and we lost seats. It was like midterm elections where the Republicans got shellacked because people were just like, man, it's like, we don't care. It's like, get in there and do your jobs. And then Al Gore suffered from the same thing the Democratic nominees always suffer from when they lose. Anytime the Democrats put up somebody who doesn't have any charisma, they lose. I think Carter was the exception just because people were tired of Nixon. Hey, that'd have been interesting. He'd have got a 3rd term. Who would he run against in the 4th term? Let's see who was hot back then. Newt Gingrich? Nah. That'd have been interesting. Who would they have run? Republicans losing in 2000, that whole neocon dynasty is toast. So who comes in after the fact? Maybe John McCain? Yeah, it probably would have been John McCain. He'd have gone up against Clinton again. I say again, but he would have gone up against Clinton for the Republicans again. Bill Clinton gets a 4th term. Now here we are in 2008. Slick Willie's not looking so good. Then it would have been Al Gore against whoever the Republicans would have dug up at that time. Mitt Romney, maybe? I'm thinking Clinton's in there. September 11th doesn't happen, not because, you know, necessarily he was a better president, but because he was already known by the security community. They already had an issue happen with the New York City bombing, so they've been on top of that. Yeah, I don't think September 11th happens. Weird how these disasters always seem to happen under the Republican watch. Not weird, really. It's just they got that libertarian streak in them where if it ain't about making money, they don't really care about it. So they let things go lax. EPA standards, CDC funding, FEMA. An ounce of prevention is too expensive. We can make more money off the pounds of cure. I guess the Republicans just like selling in bulk. But yeah, that's I don't think September 11th happens. There's no war in Iraq. You still have the .com bust. You might be, the recession might have ended a lot faster. No Patriot Act, thank God. Erosion of civil liberties. I think the environmental standards would have been the same. It's interesting to think about. I have to do a search on that later and see what Porter says. All the armchair professionals. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking if Clinton had won, or if there was no term limits, I think Clinton would have been a 20-year president. I think he'd had 5 terms and then had to decline a 6th for health reasons. It would be nice to peer into that alternate universe. The alternate universe where Al Gore is president. What do you think happens there? I still don't think September 11th would have happened, because he would have had the same team in there. I think he would have suffered from the same stuff that George H.W. Bush suffered from. Maybe administration fatigue because it wasn't the same guy running things. I think he'd have been a 4-year president. That's the reason why I think that I think Trump's going to get another 4. I got that feeling in my bone. I had the same feeling in 2016. I said, yeah, that man's going to be president. Because people genuinely just did not like Hillary Clinton. It was like, ugh. I hear people talking, and it was like, well, it's not that I like her. And I was like, that was like the number one thing. It's just, but. I didn't hear, I think she'd make a great president. It was more along the lines of, she's better than the other guy. And then Joe Biden, I was just like, I don't think America's ready for a zombie president. You know, Joe Biden, 12 years ago, interesting choice. Joe Biden 12 years later, dear God, somebody put that poor man out of his misery. Then you make his running mate the person who was least liked in the Democratic primaries, and it left me with a head scratcher. I was like, okay, I get it. It's just such a bad Tanner move. The chances of not only in the future could there be a president that's a woman, but she'll be a woman of color. But the thing is, the guys I want, they never get in there. You know, I wanted Bernie Sanders because it was a definite change, and it was a change that scared a lot of people, so that's why it didn't happen. It was a step in the right direction, in my opinion, based on the research I've done. And when that didn't happen, I said, you were talking about vice president. I was like, well, that Tammy Duckworth looks like a sure thing, because it was just like, she's disabled veteran, woman minority. I was like, she's practically bulletproof. I was like, you know, like if Trump tried to say anything about her, it would just look bad. It would look god awful. You know, you say something about one thing, you're insulting veterans. You say another thing, you're insulting women. You say another thing, you're insulting the disabled. Any attack against her would have just seemed like totally tasteless. Well, then again, that's what Trump dabbles in too, but still. Totally tasteless and indefensible, I guess is what I should say. They didn't pick Duckworth, and I was like, all right. I say, have fun trying to figure out what happened on the post. Have fun trying to figure out what happened on the post-election autopsy of that one. You put a zombie and Foxy Brown up against an incumbent reality star. You don't plan your elections around smart people, you plan it around the lowest common denominator. I forget what politician was saying that the lady was telling him that he's like, you've got the vote. He says, you've got the vote of the intelligent people in America. He says, well, I can't win with that. And the response was basically like, well, I can't win with that constituency. I'd look that up too. I don't remember the exact phrase. And ironically, that guy I think I beat by a landslide. Maybe not ironically, but prophetically. He was the smart person candidate, which means he got walloped in the general election. That's almost an indicator, man. If smart people are overwhelmingly behind you, you're probably going to lose the election in America. if the most intelligent people in the country and world are rooting for you, you're probably going to lose the presidency of the United States. That was the thing about Obama. He got in there and it was the same speech over and over and over and over again. I think what amazed me about that whole campaign was there were so many times when there were landmines that got stepped on and I thought it's over. The Reverend Wright thing, they smoothed that over pretty well. And then the thing with Gates and the beer summit, that smoothed things over. I was just like, wow. Or did that happen while he was president? I can't remember. We'll see what happens. I got this itch in the back of my neck that tells me it's going to be 4 more years of Trump. Plus there's the fact that he messed up the whole mail-in ballot thing on purpose. I was like, wow. I was like, they aren't even trying to hide the fact that they're rigging this thing. That's why I keep telling people, it's like, you know, I love Trump. I love Trump because there is no curtain. It is just like all the vile, disgusting, mean, petty stuff that they talk about. He doesn't even try. They don't even try to hide it. I said Trump is America's mirror. Trump is America's truth serum. They can't say anything else. They can't say, oh, we're this, we're that. It's like, no. I was like, this is Trump country, okay? Y'all are what this man represents. Everything. All the ugliness, the brutishness, the pettiness, the insecurities. That is America. Donald Trump couldn't be more American. Trump is the candidate for ugly Americans. And that's the truth that got exposed in 2016. America has a lot of ugly. So it makes sense that the people in the entertainment industry just were completely clueless about this. The people in media, it was just like, huh? These are the beautiful people. I was like, how could y'all? I was like, did you forget that America's an ugly country? That's why you guys have jobs. Everybody pushes Southern California, but the reality is it's Cleveland, Ohio 24/7 around here. Now you sell Disneyland, But you're going to see rusted out steel mills. You're going to see shuttered factories. It's going to be Flint, Michigan, and Detroit. And right now, America is at its ugliest. And so at its ugliest, it still needs the ugly guy. It still thinks it needs the ugly guy. Oh, man. What time is it? 9:35. Or should I say 21:35? Motherfucker. I didn't think anybody would be here. Asshole. Damn, man. Never get a break. Did you die? Yep. You died. Fuck you, fitness tracker. Okay. I was like, there's no way I could have got 10,000 steps. That is why I bought this thing, just to count how many steps I was getting on an average day. I'll go back to basics and start keeping a journal. Because exercise activity doesn't really matter, it's about what I eat. What I mean by that is, me walking for about an hour gets it done. Me exercising for about an hour gets it done. Doesn't even necessarily have to be heavy or intense. Just has to be resistance done properly. the end of the day, though, what I eat is what's driving this whole thing. And I speak from experience, because there's times when I've just like ran a super amount of miles and lifted heavy weight and not hop on the scale and gain weight. And I was like, what the hell? And then thinking back on what I was eating, I thought in the days where I went, where I went hard, I had to compensate for it. And I was overcompensating. My metabolism is a mess. I have messed myself up. I think I'm supposed to be getting like, it must be between 2,000 and 2,200 calories is all I need. According to the machine that I was hooked up to, just me, if I was just sitting there in a vegetative state, my body supposedly needs 1,800 calories a day. That was back when I was in the 160s. And then I went back to eating my mother's cooking, which is just like whatever Paula Deen or Taste the Kitchen inspired nightmare is out there on the internet or on TV. That's what she's going to cook. And so it's bacon wrapped this and salt added that and fat added something rather. So I tried my best on the food diary, but I get the feeling that I'm undercounting a lot. I think a normal potato salad or a pea salad, which will come in at like 300, 500 calories, which is already calorie laden. My mom makes it. You can add about half. You can add another, 50% to that, or whatever the total count is. So like 600, 750 calorie dishes in just one cup. It could be stress. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. I think it's stress. I mentally don't think I'm under a lot of stress. But I just think my body is just like telling me, look, I can't keep doing what you're doing. And so it's letting me know. I mean, right now I have no energy. I wake up after sleeping about 7 hours and 30 minutes, maybe 7 hours. And then I have nothing in the tank. I'm just like, all right. I pick up my phone and I read for like 30 minutes what's going on in the world that I need to be aware of. And I might just stop reading the news. Because it seems like COVID is no longer the thing. It's just like it's happening, but we're just going to ignore it. I was like, okay. You can go back to doing whatever you were doing. I can't trust the reports that come in anymore. Because the combination of things are happening. Fewer people are getting tested. And then the CDC is being told to withhold things until the election happens, making them look like things are getting better. And it's just like things aren't getting better, we're just not reporting as much. So that's going on. And it's like, are you kidding me? Something that could damage you for life or kill you. We're gonna use that. we're gonna fudge up the facts on that so that somebody doesn't lose an election. All right. And this is proof that everybody's just kind of turned the corner and thinks that everything's over. There's a lot more ass. Like this is almost the typical amount of assholes that are out here. Like we aren't like, okay, so stuff's closing now. Pre-pandemic, there'd still be traffic. There'd be twice as much traffic out here. The stores were closing at midnight. Everybody's out and about, and then people are driving to bars. And it's the strangest thing. I was sitting here walking around, I'm looking, and there are bars open. And I was like, are bars supposed to be open right now? And I think, who's going to enforce it? Oh, man. I guess that bitch is on too much pain medication. Should I say acetaminophen? That was the other thing I was reading in the news. Acetaminophen causes you to take risks. I was like, okay, that explains a lot. I need to stop reading the news. There's so much good stuff is happening too. Like I'm reading, they discovered a substance in the upper atmosphere of Venus that indicates that there might be life on Venus. Microbial life, but still life. And you get all excited, like, yeah, let's send a probe, let's see what that is. More than likely what it'll be is a lot of fucking assholes still out here. More than likely what it'll be is a bunch of scientists are about to discover there's a new way of producing this chemical naturally. And I was like, all right. Because they're saying it happens in industrial plants or it happens with bacteria. On Earth, it's not naturally occurring. So I'm kind of excited to see what will happen with that, but past history has taught me anything. It won't be what we're hoping for. And then what if it is? What if there are microbes on other planets? Then what? They're saying, well, if there's microbes on this planet, then there's like microbes on lots of other planets. Because all of a sudden they have to start putting in new data for what they think is a habitable planet. And then the likelihood of life forming on another planet, which we will have confirmed. But I don't know. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you'll think the aliens will find a way to cover that up. If you're the average uncreative moron, you'll think, why are we wasting money on this? I guess I can understand why someone would water their grass at like 10 o'clock at night. Because I keep assuming this stuff set on a automatic cycle. Maybe they did it because they didn't want to get the street wet while there was a lot of traffic. Most people set their sprinklers to start going at sundown. I don't get it, man. Really don't get it. Maybe I need more reflective tape. I don't think any amount of reflective tape can help people overcome it. Like I said, that's probably a texture and driver. Okay. I was like, where am I going? Insane, homie. That's where you're going. Or am I going sane in a crazy world? I missed the tick. Watching that clip the other day. Honk if you love justice. Oh man. Justice is expensive. Justice is expensive. I just never understand it. I really don't, man. You got your hazard lights on, you're driving. I was like, at that point, you know, you're supposed to stop and get the tow truck. I understand it. It just boggles my mind. Trying to save money while doing something dangerous and inconvenient to other people. just, it smacks of a selfishness and a stupidity that irritate me to no end. I've done it a few times myself, but that was back in the days when insurance company, there was no, when insurance companies weren't all that reliable and there were no cell phones. In this day and age, there really is no excuse. Credit card company offers roadside assistance. Your insurance company offers roadside assistance. It really doesn't cost that much extra, and it really does come in handy, especially if you're driving an older vehicle like that. You know, that $5 or $10 a month is still cheaper than you having to go to court because somebody ran off into the back of you, or because you had your hazard lights on going slow and they thought you were a stationary vehicle. Not only that, but driving around the car and you got something, like if there's something wrong with the car and you're driving it like that, whatever you're doing, whatever the problem is, you're making it worse. Car's overheating. There's a Japanese car like those were, that was. Guess what? You're gonna have to get you a new engine, because they make their heads out of aluminum. That warps when hot. Bad tire, well, you're damaging the rims now. And again, I was thinking about the other day, I caught it on camera where the guy was like, I'm helping him call the tow truck company. I don't even know why I was doing that. I was like, this dude speaks English. He's from Nigeria. It's like the official language. Probably came from a rich family that was tutored. He probably speaks better English than I could ever dream of. He asked me, what do I do? What do I do? And I was like, dude, just call the tow truck company. Gave him the number. I should have been on my merry way. No, that's too expensive. That's too expensive. I was like, okay, well, why am I involved with this then? And I was going to ignore the dude. He flags me down. Hey. And my rule is, you don't help unless they ask for it. Because too often I've thrown the help out there, and it's always, nah, I don't need this, or you get more than you bargained for. One time I picked up a dude, and I took him to his apartment, and then he said, hey, can you take me and my girl to this place? I just looked at him. Oh yeah, thanks for the ride. And I was like, yeah, you lucky you got that. I'm not a taxi service. Nowadays, like I said, because of the changes of everything, nowadays I don't have to offer any kind of assistance. It's just, usually it's, no, we got it, they're talking on the cell phone. In extreme cases though, I look out and I see like bad weather, and I'm wondering, I'm like, well, you never know. I got myself on video the other day, asking that couple if they needed any help. They said, no, we've got it. I'm super tired, that's why I'm so chatty today. Normally I see it says, you have a new subscriber, and I say, huh? I say, that won't last long. He's gonna hear me mumbling to myself, saying something stupid, and all of a sudden he's gonna be like, alright, well, this guy is definitely not someone I want to be associated with. And or his videos are boring. Bloop. Like, as rude as I think I am, some of the comments I get are even ruder than anything I can think of. When the comment section says boring as fuck, I'm like, yes, send me more of those. I'm all about that, man. I can't call my channel boring as fuck, Dallas. I don't make these, like I said, they always ask, are these for kids? I was like, hell no. I was like, some adults don't need to see this stuff. Now, part of the reason I started doing this was because, yeah, it's kind of rough out there for black fellas. You can't explain your situation properly, and that's what the camera does. Like, I'm untrustworthy by nature of having dark skin. The camera don't lie. You see me walking through your area. I mean, the camera sees me walking through your area. Camera's not going to show me doing anything stupid. It's gonna show why you have a problem, not me. The thing that makes me laugh though is that's why I kind of like the whole Black Lives Matter thing. I am a little skeptical, but I'm skeptical and cynical on just about everything these days. You almost have to be to protect yourself. You know, there have been some egregious police issues. The Breonna Taylor thing speaks to mind. The situation where the boy in Aurora, Colorado was just walking down the street, man. And they killed that dude. Other guys, they were trying to go jackrabbit. They were trying to shoot back at the police. They were fighting. I was just like, dude, man, like, you just got a death wish. There's some people, like I said, they aren't doing a goddamn thing. And they get tagged, and it's like, oops, sorry. And it's like, dude, this is why pencils have a racer's issue. This is, you just killed somebody. Somebody needs to be held accountable for that. Yeah, the George Floyd thing, that was just excessive. Yeah, he was giving them a hard time when they were going on the carpet, man. Choking a dude out like that, it's not justifiable. Especially if he wasn't a threat. Like, they killed the guy for being annoying, it's not a threat. That's what sucks about the whole situation. People getting killed for being annoying, not people getting killed because they were dangerous. Or like I said, the full spectrum, people getting killed for not doing a goddamn thing. Like, you're sitting in your home, you're watching TV, and a cop comes in and guns you down. I'm like, what the hell? You know, that situation with the cop, she went into the wrong apartment. And they're trying to blame that on the fact that she was tired and said, and the other. I was like, I understand all that, but they dealt with that situation right away. She got fired, there was criminal prosecutions. She's wearing an orange jumpsuit now. And that's why I don't understand this whole Breonna Taylor thing. I was just like, wrong person, wrong place. But the guys still got to keep their jobs. Like, what the hell? Now, like I said, I don't always agree with everything I see. And what this camera has exposed in I've been doing this for 7 years now. The cops are really kind of quirky, as far as what I've caught on camera. Like, I had that one experience with the idiot. In fact, back there. That's why every month I always make sure I walk down Inwood. It's kind of like a protest myself. It was like, dude, like, how you gonna give me a hard time for walking down the street? There are those I've shown the video to, and their response was, "What were you doing walking down the street?" and that's the ignorance. Somewhere along this line, pedestrian safety became a nuisance. People are stupid about their rights. And maybe that's why they deserve to lose them. They seem to be blissfully ignorant about what they can and can't do. And as a black man, you don't have that luxury. You become painfully aware of what you can and can't do. And even what you can do, you might have to fight for it. Or you will have to fight for it. But anyway, my interactions with law enforcement, I've got like 4 incidences on this camera. One bad, the rest of them are just funny and good. The guy stopping me in the rich neighborhood, and the media's got me thinking, oh my gosh, some shit's about to go down. Good thing I got my camera on. And the guy says, "Hey man, we ain't seen you in a long time." I said, my wife was worried about what happened to you. Next thing you know, I'm taking a selfie with a cop. Weird, but funny. Every once in a while they pull me over and they say, "Hey," or they cruise on by and they're like, "Hey, what's with the camera?" Or, "Where's your helmet?" Because I wear all sorts of weird equipment. It doesn't look, like I said, I don't care about how it looks. Feels great, does what it's supposed to do. That's all I care about. Like I said, I had that one bad experience with Officer Ovens. I don't know what his deal was. I ain't seen him since. I say good riddance to bad rubbish. Well, hoping I had more battery time, but actually I just slipped it in my pocket. What about as a person driving, a person of color driving? I think I've talked about this on the camera before. With me, it was always cops trying to make sure that, trying to get me for something. That was always the weird deal. Then yes, I did forget about that one incident, or almost forgot. Like I said, I was pulling into the garage, or the driveway of my own house. And the cop was like, shining the flashlight in my face. He said, "Let me see your ID." And I wasn't mouthing off at all, man. I was just like, all right. I was like, I don't know what I did, but I guess we're gonna find out. I don't argue with fools with guns. I keep telling people that. So, cop takes my driver's license, goes back to his car, talks to somebody else in the back, says, "This isn't the guy," and just comes back to me, still shines the light in my face, and just throws the license back at me, and then hops in his car and drives off. I have had a lot of rude interactions like that, where it's just like, you don't explain what happened. You just, like Don Cheadle said, you fit the description. I have had a couple of you fit the description moments. Literally a couple. The rest of the time it was like, let me see your insurance. I was like, I knew that's what he was. I knew that's what he was going after. That was when I was younger. One time I got pulled over for what I thought was speeding. And the guy said, yeah, just slow down a little bit. And he looked at the back of my car. He said, what are you studying? I said, I'm studying networking. Networking. Computer networking. And he saw all those big high-tech books in the back. And he's like, well, slow down and drive safely home, Mr. Young. And that was it. That was when I was younger. That was the Carrollton cops. The weirdest moment I ever had was in the parking lot of 24-Hour Fitness. Walking into the 24-Hour Fitness, a cop car rolls up on me, shines the light at me, does the sirens, and then just drives out to the parking lot, does the 360 and disappears. And I was like, what the? And I swear I heard somebody laughing in the background. It's like, what is that all about? I got pranked by cops. The thing that makes me laugh is that video I show you with Officer Ovens. I showed it to the guys who have a bias against the cops, the white guys. Man, I have never seen anybody switch get flipped so quickly. Oh yeah, those fucking cops, man, those fucking cops. Yeah, they ain't got nothing better to do, man. Let me tell you about the time, and all of a sudden I got here. About the time one of my long-haired friends was getting harassed by the man. Yeah, man, they got nothing better to do. Oh, man. One of the guys I went to high school with, he says, no, he said, you were doing what you were supposed to be doing. He says, when I was in the military, they told us this, like, wear this, do that. And that's what I was doing. I was wearing the light, walking on the interior. He says, I don't know if I'd have been walking by the median. I was like, well, the only reason I walk by the median is because sometimes that's the only area where they keep the vegetation up. You go to the other spots, people have trees blocking you. So that's when I walk in with her. Like I said, I've been doing it for almost 20 years. And Officer Ovens, I don't know what stick he had up his ass, but that was a weird deal. The other thing that kind of weirded me out about that whole thing is the dude had an accent. And I was like, I'm the only guy in the fucking United States of America who gets busted by the racist ass cop. He wasn't, I don't know if he was racist, but by the dumbest cop in Great Britain. I was like, not only do I get pulled over by a cop, I get pulled over by a British cop. I wonder what some of the international guys I would have talked to would have said about that. That's what I think. I think he was part of some officer exchange program. And yeah, in Great Britain, pedestrian rights, it's like, look, you ain't got no pedestrian rights. But no, basically the automobile is king now. I understand what they have the Texas pedestrian law, and I was trying to quote that to him. Bad mistake. I look at that video and I just look at all the mistakes that I kind of made on that one. But I definitely know the mistakes he made. And I'm not living in the era where you are protected by the law anymore. This is no longer a nation of laws. The United States is now a nation of politics. What do the optics say about what you did? If it looks like you did something wrong, then you did wrong. Like, that's the thing that's so fucked up now, is like, you can do something wrong, but as long as it doesn't look like you did something wrong, you get away with it. You could kill someone, and as long as it didn't look like you were killing someone, you're probably going to get away with it. You can steal money. As long as it doesn't look like you were stealing money, you're going to get away with it. Image, image, image. I remember that statement, Reuben Boyle. I think I said Reuben Boyle that before too. Reuben Boyle, and I used to read Tom the Dancing Bug, and it was a funny cartoon that somehow became a political cartoon. And I can't find that comic strip. That's something that pisses me off. I know it exists because I read it several times on the old Go Comic site, and then I can't find it anywhere else. And it was back when he had a special. It was called Congressman Dashing and Congressman Doofus. And it was all these examples of how congressmen solicit funds, how bribery became legal with political action committees, I guess is what he was saying. And it was like, Congressman Dashing will call up the guy and say, look, he says, I could probably get you that pipeline, but you'll have to contribute something to my political action fund to get a little pork in that bill. He says, Congressman Doofus does it from his own line. Like, does it from his own line and then says, yeah, I'll take the bribe. All right, 10,000 steps. Got to charge up my thing. He was talking about Congressman Dashing does this, Congressman Doofus does that. And at the end of it, the line that always stuck with me even to this day was, impropriety is okay. It's the appearance of impropriety that is against the rules. I remember that exact phrase. Impropriety is a-okay. It's the appearance of impropriety that's against the rules. In politics, if you look like you're doing something dirty, you're doing something dirty. Even if a court finds that you didn't do anything dirty. Just the fact that you looked like you did, you're done for. And that was the thing that dogged Hillary Clinton. She might not have done anything wrong. She might be squeaky clean. Seriously doubt it, but still. She just looked like she always did something wrong. She was at a political disadvantage at that point. That's the damning indictment against Joe Biden is he may not be incompetent. I mean, he's been in Congress for over 30 years. Maybe that speaks more to the idiocy of the people in the place that he represents than it does him, but it looks like he knows what he's doing. Or it seems like he knows what he's doing looking at the record. But politically, he always looks like he always looks incompetent. And that's what's going on in this election. You're going to have a guy who's running, who looks incompetent, versus a guy who is incompetent. And that's why I think Trump wins. Somehow to his base, he just doesn't seem to look incompetent. But the overwhelming proof is that he is. Anyway. Yes, I wear the camera for political reasons. But also, that every once in a while, I want someone else to see. It's not about, like I said, I don't do this for fame or fortune. I do this because sometimes I get weirdness happening on my walks, and I want someone else to see the weird stuff. And unfortunately, last week I was walking the stupid fucking camera. Like the weirdest moments I've ever had That's when the camera battery went out. That's when the camera didn't record it. I'm like, man, I hope I got that on camera. And I look back later and it's like, nope. So, you know, people don't get to see Sasquatch or the hyper-intelligent six-toed sloth or Slender Man. You get to see my boring stuff. That's kind of the joke on the name, Boring Dallas. I was like, if anything, Dallas is crazy. Somebody said it's boring. I was like, all right. So I guess I'll roll with that for a title. Boring Dallas. Sometimes I have a weird moment and I'll tell someone about it and I was like, wait. It's like, it's taking me too long to explain this. Let me show you. There's the video. I wish my GoPro could record at night. And like my night vision is great. GoPro, man, all you're gonna see is dark blobs right now. What I see is expensive cars, houses, you know, bushes. Occasionally I'll see an animal skirting across. That's the other thing, you can't see stuff off in the distance. I look about 50 yards ahead and I see a naked screaming guy on fire. The camera looks ahead 50 yards and it sees an orange dot. When I was doing my marathon back in April, what you see is me doing it and grunting and having a hard time for 8 hours. What you don't see is every time I took a break, someone would pull over in their car and ask me what I was doing. He goes, is that a camera? I said, yeah. Man, that is fucking awesome. And he just drives off. And I'm like, okay. Thank you, random Middle Eastern guy. There was a house here, right? Last week I'm sitting here walking the street, some guy, he's like stopping in the middle of the sidewalk, he's scratching himself, putting his hands on his hips, putting his hands on his knees. Well, he was tired, high and itchy, and I was like, you know what? I said, I'm just gonna walk in the street now. But she just has the whole sidewalk, man. No mask, of course. It's funny, in the 6 months that this pandemic's been going on, that's the only message that's remained consistent as far as what I hear from like Fauci and those people, you know, the guys who are supposed to know this stuff. Mask, distance, wash hands. Mask, distance, wash hands. Doesn't matter if it says if you're outside of your house, mask, distance, wash hands. And then, like we typically do in this country, we start trying to take it from something that is legal or scientific and turn it into something political. Well, what kind of mask? Well, what kind of soap? Well, how big of a distance? And you're like, okay. Well, what if I'm not this close? And I was like, okay. So like the mask I'm wearing protects me, but it doesn't protect other people. Like I breathe out and apparently my exhaust goes out there. But the irony is that you couldn't ask for better masks for protection. It's like 90% effective all across the board. So this is a good mask for what I'm doing. It was built for the outdoors and it protects you pretty well from a lot of different elements. I know it protects me from pollen dust because I haven't sneezed since I've been wearing this thing. I still occasionally smell people's cooking barbecue, and I still get I'm still breathing ozone in, unfortunately. And I think that's part of what's messing me up. I don't think it's carbon dioxide. I think it's air pollution getting trapped in mask even when I exhale. So there's that. And you know, the funny thing was, where there was a brief period of time 2 years ago where I considered, I said, let me see what mask training says. I was going to wear a mask anyway. But then I was reading stories about guys wearing masks and weighted vests, getting pulled over by cops. I was like, I won't get pulled over, I'll get shot, so let's not do that. And then I was reading reports about, they were saying that wearing the mask could cause these respiratory problems because of a dirty mask. I said, well, yeah, I'll definitely not be the guy who cleans it a lot. So I just didn't pursue it. You know, I'd heard that mask training helps you breathe better. Gives you a boost. Which incidentally, like I said, if I survive this pandemic, and I take off the mask, I wonder how much easier it's going to be to exercise. What I'm amazed about, though, is this thing happened, and because of my habits, I'm getting through it okay. Like, I have a habit of, I don't go to stores anyway, because I can't stand, you know, I'm an introvert and all that other stuff, whatever you want to call it. The simplest explanation to give is, other people annoy me a lot. And so I tend to avoid other people as much as possible. People just drain me. So I buy a lot of stuff in bulk. What I can't buy in bulk, I usually get shipped to me. I don't go out that often, except to, you know, do the exercise thing. And the other thing was, because of what 24-hour, like I said, I have to thank 24-hour Fitness for what they did for me. Not just for the COVID thing, but also because I wish I could have done this years ago. But I live with a pack rat, so that was an option I didn't know I had until we negotiated. And that was setting up my own home gym. I'm loving every minute of it. Yeah, I wish I had more space. Now I don't have the equipment I used to have, but you know what? Some of the equipment I just don't miss. I thought I needed to do hack squats. I don't. I do front squats and back squats, and that's enough. Like some machines I do miss, though. I haven't found a substitute for the leg press, but once again, looking at Mark Ripeto's opinion on the whole deal, and he was only recommending the leg press for people who aren't strong enough to do regular squats. Something that'll work them up to where they can do regular squats. I'm like, well, I'm already doing squats, so I guess I don't need that. COVID in the home gym has taught me to kind of simplify what lifts I do. So the cool thing about having your own home gym is you set the schedule. You want to work out early in the morning? Nothing stopping you. You want to work out in the afternoon? Nothing stopping you there either. Hell, there's so many different exercises you can do with just a pair of barbells. Like, I had set up that home gym, and I was like, well, I had to do a lot of research too, man. I was like, should I get this rack? Should I get that rack? I was prepared to just buy some rack that Amazon recommended, and they were like, hold on a second here, I'm looking. I was like, this one only supports this much weight. And I was like, well, crap. Went with a Titan Fitness rack, even though Alan Thrall said not to. I shrugged my shoulders. I'm like, I'm not running a gym for profit. I'm just a dude that every once in a while wants to put 245 on the bar and go at it. Like, my powerlifting days are behind me. You know, back when I was like 20, 30 years old, there wasn't really a powerlifting scene. Like, there were a few guys having some backyard stuff. But now, like I said, it's you know, their businesses and tournaments and everything else. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, it's a big thing now. Especially with CrossFit coming around. Just born in the wrong era, I guess. Yeah, I'd have kept lifting. I might not have got up to 400 pounds, or if I did, no, I wouldn't have got up to 400 pounds. I would have still been lifting. I'm not really an ardent believer in things happening for a reason. I just think that random things happen, and sometimes probabilistically you get lucky. And so what I say about my own life is that things didn't really happen for a reason, I don't think. But I'm kind of glad of some of the stuff that happened. I'm glad of the occurrences that gave me moments of clarity. Having a conversation with my brother that was pretty much just his nice way of giving me a one-man intervention 20 years ago probably saved my life. Not that it's much of a life, but you know, it's still mine. So, it is what it is. I started walking 20 years ago, and I made this my drug of choice. I think everybody has an addiction. Late night jackassery. Anyway, like I was saying, everyone has an addiction. You're just fortunate if yours is legal. It's kind of weird that mine is semi-legal. Like, exercising of itself, in and of itself, is not inherently bad. It's just the way I do it, like walking the streets. I didn't want to be walking at night, but Dallas is so hot and dirty that you almost have to walk at night. $5 says they hit the backup lights right as I'm going by. Oh man, never ends. What time is it? Almost 2,300 hours. I was like, why do you do that like a military man? I was never in the military, but I adopted a lot of their mannerisms because they fucking make sense. Okay? People are like, that's stupid. I was like, no, you're stupid. You want to say that, but I'm just so polite. I was like, no, you're stupid. Imagine having to sit here and repeat over and over again. Is that 12:30 or 12 a.m.? I mean 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. Rather than saying 2,300 hours, 2,400 hours, 000 hours, versus saying 12. I'm trying to say the letter R, but I got a Texas twang, so it sounds like R. It's like, what letter is that again? Versus if I just say Romeo or Ralph, or whatever alphabet you subscribe to. And like I said, we use the military alphabet because when I was in customer service, people can't understand your accent. Even if you don't have an accent, like I was taught by Midwesterners, so they kind of sharpened out two burrs, my Texas twang and my three burrs actually. My Texas twang, my parents' Louisiana twang, and the ghetto twang. Those are three things that I did without. But even still, people can't understand me. So, and that's usually because you came from India or Nigeria, and the way y'all pronounce an alphabet in those countries is completely different from how you pronounce an English alphabet in this country. So you can't get by my accent, fine. I'll use a word that starts with this, and maybe you'll pick it up. And that's when you realize the military alphabet is not internationally. A lot of fucking assholes out here, man. There's a lot of people that don't know Romeo. If I say Foxtrot, and I was using the World War II one, that's the problem, so I use Foxtrot. And nobody knows what a foxtrot is. It was a dance that was popular back then. So, you know, if somebody said it, it's like, oh yeah. I say Lima. Lima is one of those things that's you really have to know your geography. I'm still trying to figure out why that was in the World War II alphabet. Lima. Yeah, it's a city in Peru. Is it the capital of Peru? I don't know. I just know that that's the weird thing, man. Latin America somehow skirted this. Let me rephrase that. Southern Latin America skirted this. Mexico, they're just as dumb as we are, if not dumber. It took us months to ignore the virus. They were ignoring it on day one. Well, I have to make money. I was like, well, can't do that while you're dead. That's what happened to a lot of dudes. They go around open markets. And people are still catching it in open markets. That should give people pause. Like, if guys are still catching COVID in open markets in Mexico, then yes, you probably need to wear a mask even when you're outdoors. I get that a lot of these people are on top of each other, but still. Social distancing is really not a Mexican concept. In fact, it sounds like it's something that would be completely antithetical to the culture. Social distancing works. The reason why social distancing works so well in Asian countries is because they seem to practice it no matter that way anyway. There's no handshakes, there's no hugging, there's bowing. And there's bowing and waving. The only reason they ever violate social distancing is they have to get on mass transit. There's just a lot, like I said, a lot of people that get crammed into a tight space. But even they wear masks when outdoors. I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know is I'm done. Let me rephrase that, I'm done with cardio. I wonder about having enough strength left to do the deadlifts. We'll see. Usually when what I'm finding is I do cardio before lifting, it actually kind of helps a little bit. So I'm nice and loosened up.